Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Third Chair. Today we have some more overused and random battles. So I hope you guys like them. And at least today it's a good day to be recording because it's a nice Sunday day. I just got to watch the Minnesota Vikings and Seahawks play, and that ending, wow, absolutely crazy. But today is a Pokemon day. And just trying to shake that off. Let's get right into it. So on our first battle here, we have a battle against Bob's Builders, and it looks like he's bringing an underused team for the most part, minus the exception of that Conkeldurr, which is pretty close to moving back down to underused at the time. Pinsir, which is a Mega Pinsir, I think belongs in overused. And I'm seeing a lot of Powerhouse as a good core, but nothing that scares me too much. I kind of have a check or a counter for at least every one of his Pokemon. And I would just say that if I can break down like one or two of his Pokemon and keep mine at good health, it'll make it a lot easier to play around. So we're going to start off. I send in my Shaman first, expecting him to send in his Swampert, maybe to set up the rocks. But he goes into his Zapdos, and I switch in my Raikou, expecting to take a Thunderbolt or a Heat Wave. And he does go for Heat Wave. It only does 27%, but with leftovers, I have a very good chance of taking him out. I go straight for a Thunderbolt, but he sends in his Swampert as a good, first move. I don't want to over-predict anything early game. And I can always just send in my Shaman. He goes for a Roar, though, oddly, and drags back out my Raikou. So I just kind of get some free health there, which is nice. But I'm going to go back to my Shaman. I'm going back to my Slowbro. He sets up the rocks. I can take any hit he wants. So he's going to go into his Zapdos. And at this point, I'm just going to go for a Scald. And it did 26%, so not enough to warrant staying in. So I'm going to leave right now and go back into my Raikou. I take some Stealth Rock damage, but that's alright. His Thunderbolt only does about 20%. So, my Raikou's getting a little bit low on health, but Leftovers recovery is going to keep me up there. I go for Hidden Power Ice, expecting to switch into a Swampert, just see how much it did. But he stays in. It does 35%, which is pretty good. And I get a lucky Heat Wave miss from him. And I'll just keep going for Hidden Power Ice until he reveals he has Roost. So at this point, we're kind of playing. I would lose this eventual stall out, but then I do have Calm Minds. So if I don't get crit, if we just would have played this one-on-one, Raikou would end up beating the Zapdos. So he leaves. He knows it's not a fight he wants to be in. I go for Hidden Power Ice. Only does 25%, so I'm starting to think this is like an Assault Vest, or it's just naturally that bulky of a Conkeldurr. But he goes for Drain Punch, which is good. He's got to recover some health. I go into my Skarmory. I can take a lot of hits from this guy. I want to remove the rocks, though, so I go for a Defog. And he goes for Knockoff. And knocks off, I carry Lumberry on my Skarmory. Not really the best item, but sometimes you just need to take a status and go from there. So I Roost, and I then switch out. Not taking this guy on one-on-one, but he goes for Flare Blitz, and I use my Heatran to absorb it nicely. So he's got to leave, and I just decided to set up the rocks for that turn. Because he left, nothing on his team would appreciate rocks. Zapdos, especially that Pinsir on the waiting team down there, waiting to come in and sweep. But now we have a one-on-one with Slowbro and Conkeldurr, and I've revealed that I'm Mega Slowbro, so his knockoff won't be doing that much damage. And luckily right here, Psyshock does not kill, so this allows me to bring my Slowbro back to full health due to Slowbro's ability not letting anyone get a crit on him. So he's just sacking his Conkeldurr at this point, which is so fine by me because now I have a very healthy Mega Slowbro to take on that Darmanitan on the bottom. And I just go for a Scald, and he's done. He's got to send in his Zapdos because you gotta take this guy on with someone special, so a special attacker, and Zapdos is really his only reliable one. I go in my Raikou. This is what I'm going to be doing reliably throughout the match. So as long as I keep my Raikou in a good, healthy position, I'll be fine. So I go for Thunderbolt. Whether or not he's switching to a Swampert, it didn't matter to me. I have something to counter it. So it does 40%, which is pretty nice. But he roots and then leaves. So at this point, I just set up a Calm Mind, because if he wanted to stay in or something, or roost again, I would have an advantage now. But he sends in his Swampert, and I leave. I go into my Shaman. And he's going to go for Earthquake. Critical hit only did 22%. This is not a physical defensive Shaman. This is my max special defense Shaman. So that's absolutely crazy that it dealt that much damage. I set up a sub. I'm surprised he switched into his Pinsir this early, but I'll take it. He's got to take out my sub. I'll get a nice Air Slash in. Right here gets a crit, which is pretty nice. 68%. This allows him to not be able to switch out, or else he'll have to get rid of the rocks. Either way, the crit didn't really matter too much, but I would say that it does help because 8%, I can come in and kill it with anything. So I send in my Skarmory. Made a little mistake roosting first, but I do end up taking him out, and my Skarmory is at a nice 50%. It's not as healthy as it was before, but he reels Defog on his Zapdos, which is good. But I just went for the Whirlwind not expecting it. I expected maybe a Thunderbolt. I was going to try and get some free Stealth Rock damage. Then he goes into his Azelf, which is Life Orbed, and only did 4.8% on the U-turn, so that's very unfortunate. I get a free Roost out of it, which is nice. So my Skarmory is still staying healthy. It's now 6-4, and I'm going to send in my Raikou again. I'm going to take a Thunderbolt, which is fine. I'm still at half health for the most part. Leftovers recovery is really helping me out. Much better than Assault Vest right now would have been. He does a nice job switching back in. I was just going to go for the Thunderbolt anyways, because once again, this Swampert does not scare me. There are no rocks up. He can roar as much as he wants, but as long as my Shaman's healthy, I'm fine. So he's going to go for a roar. I'm just going to get some free Leftovers recovery. It's great. And I can just switch right back into Shaman. Even if he goes into his... Oh, sorry, I went for a sub, expecting him to switch out. But he does a nice job, go for a roar. But in this case, his Swampert is having a very hard time with my team. I just went for a Whirlwind. I just wanted to see what he would do. And he gets his Azelf. Unfortunately, I'm getting very lucky with these Whirlwinds, getting that Azelf in here, because 4%. And then he loses 10? Not that much. So I get a nice defog out on his Darmanitan, gets me Stealth Rock off my side. I go into my Mega Slowbro here because I was expecting him to go for something to take out my Heatran. Superpower does less than 10%. Absolutely crazy. So I then go for a free Scald, basically, and I get the burn on his Azelf, which kind of really hurts him because now he's stuck with a... now it only did 2%. Oh, it's a physical Azelf, or maybe it's just a special with U-turn, but either way, it can't do anything anymore. It's done for. So I'm going to send in my Slowbro now every single time for this guy, because I can slack off the damage at this point, or I can hit him with a Scald if I really wanted to. He sends back his Azelf, pretty much sacking it, but I get a free slack off, and the burn's going to kill him. So 6-3 now. It's not looking too good. It's just a case of having stronger Pokemon right now. He gets a U-turn. I'm pretty sure this guy is banded, just due to the name and the rest of his team. If it's Scarfed, I wouldn't be surprised either, but, Mega Slowbro is so tanky, I can't really tell based off the damage alone. I get a very lucky burn on his Zapdos, because now he's got to stall him out. I go for Psyshock, just seeing how much it would do, because Zapdos is a little bit more special defensive than it on the physical side, but it actually does less. So maybe he's running a physical defensive Zapdos, which is fine, because that means I can just take him out with my Raikou, which is running a little low on health, but with the burn damage is now able to be hit by Thunderbolt for a KO. Maybe he was just trying to get a Roost off there, but he let him. He sacked his Zapdos at that point, and now it's 6-2. Swampert and Darmanitan, I'm just going to go for a Hidden Power Ice, and either predicting the Roar, or if he does kill me, it's fine. I can just go into my Shaman from there. I just want to take a little bit of damage on him. But then I do end up just getting my Shaman in due to the Roar, so very convenient. He goes for Roar again. I went for Leech Seed, expecting the Darmanitan to switch in. But that's fine, because now his Swampert's kind of stuck in an unfortunate position. Scald here. Doesn't burn, luckily. And my Waterfall does 68%, meaning that this Swampert is going to go down next turn, unless he switches out. But I just go to my Raikou, because at this point, whatever he does, I can just sack this guy. It's not going to be a 6-0, sadly, but I just didn't want my Azumarill to get burned, because I can just come in and sweep now with an Aqua Jet, which will do 19% to the Swampert. And then as he sends in his last Pokemon, almost at full health, Choice Band Aqua Jet will KO. So that is pretty nice. And while the Zapdos was kind of interesting to play around, I didn't really have much for it. I don't run any Rock-type moves on this team. I should. It wasn't that bad. It was a good battle. So, Bob's Builders, that was fun. This is back during Spec test, by the way. This is a while ago. I'm trying to get these battles uploaded because of that. But it didn't mean much. It just meant it was a good battle, you know? So we go into our next one here. I have two random battles. I'm kind of leaning away from random battles now just because I'm getting more into the OU scene. But I did like this one enough to think that it would be worth talking about. So he has an Archeops, and I have a Chansey. First, turn off the bat. Let's slow this down just a little bit. For anyone who doesn't know, Chansey's very, especially bulky, and Archeops has an ability called Defeatist. So if it stays in for too long or too many turns, it loses like half its power. But either way, it's very strong in the first couple turns. So what happened here is I'm going to slow it down just a little bit more to talk. I Toxic'd him just to see what he would do, and then it took too much damage, so I had to switch to my Giratina Origin. I went for a Shadow Ball first, because the only move on that Giratina was Draco Meteor damage-wise, and I didn't want to fire that off yet. And he switches in his specially defensive Karagonal, or Saragonal, however you want to say it. And at this point, I go back into my Chansey, because Chansey can take hits very well, especially on the special side. So I get a Wish. Luckily, the Toxic misses. And seeing his Freeze Dry only does 10%, I can wall this thing every single day of the week, because Chansey does have Natural Cure, or at least as long as I'm not low enough health, I can take a Toxic. It's what it means, and then switch out and have it healed. So he's going to keep going for Freeze Dry. It must be his only attacking move. Unfortunately, it's not really the best move. I don't know why he's not going for a Toxic to force me to switch out at some point. But as long as he's continuing to make mistakes, that's fine. Or get unlucky in the first case, the Toxic. But he reveals his third Pokemon is a Chestnut. This is a pretty nice Pokemon, but I didn't want to take it out on my Chansey because it does run Leech Seed. It does have usually Drain Punch, so that's just not a good combination in my game. And at this point, I'm caught back up. I go to my Giratina Origin expecting him to go for a fighting type move, but he goes for Leech Seed, so we're going to speed it back up now. I just kind of had to get the start of the battle back in. So that's a good move by him, but then I go for Toxic. I want to stall this guy out. He's kind of a physical wall, and even though I'm running a special Giratina Origin, it's not really... It seemed like it was a defensive set in this battle, so I just switched into my Shaman. He has Spiky Shield, reveals it. It's not going to help him much, at least against Shaman. But now look at this. This is crazy. Air Slash, 4 times effective, does not kill. Chestnut is very bulky. I was shocked at this. But luckily the poison does then kill him, so, it did work out in the end. I get a lucky flinch, too. He reveals Stoutland as his 4th Pokemon. I go for Leech Seed. I didn't see what this guy could do to me. It looks like it's banded based off the damage, and, Stoutland doesn't have much going for him anyways, but it does look pretty cool, you gotta admit. He's just gonna keep going for Ice Fang. That must be like min and then max damage, 48 to 57%. My Seed Flare would have killed though, especially with the combination of Leech Seed. So I'm going to keep firing it off. And he sends in his Archeops, but at this point it's not bulky. The crit probably did not matter, and it takes him out. Now he goes into his special wall. I did not want to take a Freeze Dry, and luckily my Chansey's at 100%. So I send Chansey in, and a crit, 14% Freeze Dry, which is very unfortunate for the this battle. He's having a lot of unlucky misses with Toxic. The chances of that happening are very slim. 90%, so you got to have a... just bad luck. It's happened to me a couple times. And this battle's going too fast to do the math off the top of my head, but it's not good odds to miss twice. So we then just trade Toxic at that point. But I'm at full health and he's not, so he's switching out. He goes into a Stoutland, which is going to be running a fighting type move. So I go. Actually, I went to Wish Pass Shaman. This is like the big mistake I made this match. I don't know why I went into Shaman to Wish Pass. I should have expected not to be able to take a hit. However, this does allow me to reveal my 4th Pokemon, Electrode, which is super fast, so it would have been able to revenge kill, but he does a good job. 33% Thunderbolt did, but it's taking the wear and tear down. So I go back into my Chansey, because at this point, I can outstall him, and he probably reveals Hidden Power Ground there. So it's a good thing I switched. Electrode's not bulky anyway, so I didn't want to take a Freeze Dry, or in this case, a Hidden Power Ground. He goes back into his Stoutland. I hit him with a Seismic Toss for 27%, and I actually reveal that I have Protect now, just to see what he does. And he goes for a Return. So, knowing that his Bandon has to go into Return now, I just go to my Giratina Origin, and I take that Return nicely, as in no damage at all, due to its typing. And he goes back into his Kyrogano. And my Draco Meteor does not kill amazingly enough, so it's a good thing I didn't start firing that off earlier, because would not have been good for me. But I go to my Chansey now, and no matter what he does, he's gonna die if he stays in, and he does. He didn't want my Giratina there. It's way too powerful in random battles. So he goes down, and now he reveals a Sigilyph. This thing pretty much is known for doing only one thing, and that's Cosmic Power, Psycho Shift, and eventually Stored Power. So he reveals the obvious set. And I'm just going to hit him with a Seismic Toss, get my Chansey back to full health just in case I need it later. I also just wanted to see if he would go for a Protect or something. But I go to my Electrode. So this is nice here. Electrode is fast enough to run a Taunt set. So he's going to go for a Psycho Shift. He probably should have gone for a Stored Power. But either way, I'm going to stop his setup here, go for a Thunderbolt, does 52%. And his Stored Power at this range won't kill. So now he's got to switch out. And he goes into his Jinx, which was his last Pokemon. And Thunderbolt does a little bit under half. So with but luckily, 10% paralysis does get hit. I do get the hit there. So I sack my Electrode. It did its job wonderfully. All his Pokemon left are at low enough health that I can revenge kill him with anyone I need. So I send in my Giratina, go for a Shadow Ball, super effective. And that gets the kill. Now, I probably could have played a little bit better here, but he goes into his Stoutland, and my only other move of offense is Draco Meteor, so I have to go for it here. I probably could have just switched in all my other Pokemon or sacked my Chansey or something and saved the Giratina for Sigilyph, but I figured that I'd be faster than it. I am not, so now we have a standoff. He can go for Roost, and I can go for Shadow Ball. And either way, I can get a critical hit, or Shadow Ball is able to drop special defense, so if that does happen, I will win this Roost war, and he has to keep going for Roost, just due to the fact that if he doesn't, I'll get a KO. But right here, I get a very lucky special defense drop. I mean, it had to happen at some point. And now each Shadow Ball went from doing 40% to 70%, so he forfeits, and it was a good game. Just an unrated random battle. I liked it. Get to see some Pokemon you don't see too often. I actually put a different football game on now. Redskins versus, wow, who are they playing? I'm going to check real quick. Packers, right, I knew that. Sorry, I just had like a mind blank moment. Redskins, Packers, but I just saw the score was 2-0, so apparently they got a safety, which is pretty funny. You don't see that too often in the playoffs. Anyways, we're going to go into a random battle now. This is the third battle I had up today. Once again, just good battling here, so I thought you guys would enjoy. I have an Entei, he has a Muck. This starts off, completely random, so. I am a Choice Band Entei, I get a nice Flare Blitz on the switch. It will two-hit KO this Hippowdon, which is pretty cool, because it's a bulky Pokemon. He then goes into his Lumineon to take a Flare Blitz, because he must know I'm banded at this point with that damage. And it does a little bit under half, but oddly enough, the Sandstorm would have gotten the two-hit KO, but I don't want to sack my Entei yet, so I send in my Plusle to take this guy on. He's Life Orb, which is unfortunate. He won't get the two-hit KO with the Life Orb Scald on a Plusle of all Pokemon. So I go for a Nasty Plot. I just wanted to set up here, see what he would send in. And Plusle can either Baton Pass or fight, so at this point I go for Hidden Power Ice. It runs Nasty Plot, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Ice, and Baton Pass usually, or maybe Encore if it's a sweeper. But I would have gotten a two-hit KO on this Vileplume if it didn't run Giga Drain, but it did its job. I wasn't expecting Plusle to do much in this battle. And gets the Vileplume down to 6%, 12% after Black Sludge, but I do have my third Pokemon, a Glalie. And this thing gets a Mega Evolution, which is pretty nice. It didn't have it on this set, but apparently it has Explosion, which becomes an Ice-type move, and is affected by its signature ability, Glaciate, which I thought was pretty funny. But sadly, I didn't get to use it in this match. I go for a Freeze Dry, on anything that wanted to come in because it is super effective against water types. Only that move is the only ice move that's super effective against water types. I go for an Earthquake, then I go for a Freeze Dry, then another Freeze Dry, so I'm just catching up here. I managed to take out 2 of his Pokemon, and he goes into his Bisharp. So I don't want to take a Sucker Punch yet, or whatever he has shenanigans-wise. He just goes for an Iron Head. But my Cobalion's like the perfect counter to the Bisharp right now, so he's got to switch out. I'm going to get a chance to set up here. So I go for Swords Dance, and at this point, his Pokemon are pretty low on HP, so even though Mark's a physical wall, it won't take that well at all. Here comes a nice fun moment. Diggersby, he must have expected it to be faster, but it is not. It's a huge power Pokemon. It's very strong, but it is not very quick. So now I got the close combat on that. I got a close combat on Bisharp because I'm surprised he didn't go for a Sucker Punch. Maybe he had something else planned. Maybe he thought he could take it. I don't know why he thought he could take it. But that was the end of that battle. So real quick, nice and fun random battle. Looks like the score is now 5-0 Washington. What a weird game. I'm missing out. I'll have to watch it a little bit later. But we're going to go into our 4th battle now. This is back to the overused metagame, and I'm facing a very odd team at first. I didn't really put the connection together until I was playing him, though, but I expected Smeargle to be kind of a Spore and then setup sweeper, passer, but turns out it's a little bit different than we thought. So I'm going to start off this battle by starting off with my Mienshao, because if he did go into his Smeargle, I would be able to fake out U-turn and kill him. And oddly enough, his Smeargle, you're going to see here, is level 1. So, I mean, it would have killed. But then apparently he has Spiky Shield, which is unfortunate for me because I get hurt. My fake out doesn't work, so I just have to go for a U-turn here. I was expecting a Spore. So I didn't want my Mienshao to have to take that Spore because I need him later. However, he reveals Trick Room instead. So he's faster no matter what I do. I just Mega Evolved my Venusaur. I didn't know what he'd do. He goes for Endeavor, which is very smart at this point. And now my Mega Venusaur is at 1%, and I have to sack him in this battle because there's not much else I can do. I could have maybe... No, there's nothing. That Mega Venusaur was going down. So I sent in my Dragonite, then I realized I made a mistake here. I was actually trying to get the Will-O-Wisp, kind of lure out the Will-O-Wisp. Usually Pythagoras will run that. But he just goes for a Shadow Ball, pops my Balloon, and then goes into his Rotom as I set up my own rocks. So, I mean, not a bad trade, but I would have liked to keep that Balloon up just because it's nice to have. But I go back into my Rotom Wash to take on his Rotom Wash. It's kind of a weird, battle when you put 2 Rotom Washes together. They have an interesting time. Do you go for the Burn? Do you go for the Volt Switch? When do you go for those things? But I go for the Will-O-Wisp. He goes for the Volt Switch. So, I mean, I was expecting to trade Willows, but now his Victini's in, so that's a little bit scary. And it has a light screen up, so my Hydro Pump is not doing too much damage. He reveals he's a workup Victini, which is okay, but I have a lot of faster things to counter that eventually. I'm just going to keep going for Hydro Pump. I want this thing dead. This is the scariest thing on his team in my mind. And even with workup, the Energy Ball is not going to kill, so it must be a bulky Victini. Interesting Pokemon to bulk with. But then my Hydro Pump misses, because he's slower than my Rotom, and it's just odd. My Rotom doesn't have that much speed investment in it. Or maybe this one does. I have a lot of different Rotom sets. But either way, I just go back into my Mienshao, knock off, kill. Easy as that. I didn't go for the fake out there because his Pythagoras could be switched in, and I didn't, knock off would super effectively take out him as well. Or at least do a lot of damage. U-turn does 31% to the Rotom. So, here I am expecting a Will-O-Wisp or something, but he just goes for a Reflect. Now he has both screens up. I sack my Heatran here because it's not really needed in this battle. It could have been nice, but I just realized now I need to send in something that will break through these walls. So I get a special defense drop and then an energy ball, which was pretty nice, but the light screen wore off, so it might not have mattered. However, Manaphy now has a much easier time sweeping, so I go for the Tail Glow off the bat. And he sets up another Trick Room. So now I'm looking at his team. He's got, 3 pretty bulky Pokemon, but my Manaphy, should be able to take him out. However, I don't, but then I get the burn, so I guess I do in the end. But if you look at this right now, 3-2, at least Pokemon-wise. Rock's on his side. I have a Manaphy up. This battle ended up being a lot closer than I would have thought, but the Cresselia here, you don't see it too often overused. Takes on the Scald pretty well. And but Moonblast on the other hand does not do much to me. It does drop my special attack, which was unfortunate. But then I, oddly enough, went into my Mienshao here. I looked at this battle earlier. I don't know why I did that, but I did. I probably just wanted to outstall the Trick Room, but apparently me and Xiao was able to take the Moonblast from Cresselia. Would not have taken it much better from anything else. But I knocked off Cresselia's Mental Herb, and I managed to kill it, which was pretty nice. Cresselia is more specially bulked anyways, and now all he's left with is a Steelix, and it's a Mega Steelix. I went for a knockoff, not expecting that. I was ready and willing to sack my Mian Xiao to the Steelix, which I thought maybe had leftovers. But this is the first time I've ever seen a Mega Steelix. It looks pretty nice. But then he goes for the curse. So I'm a little bit worried, because Mega Steelix has an ability that kind of helps it resist super effective hits, I believe. But even with the Cursed Scour Ball, I can still 2-hit KO it from the special side, so thankfully I did not have to rely on my Dragonite for this battle, because that might not have been able to blast through it at all. But it was a 2-0, a good win. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot to mention, this is my third team, and this is the first battle you guys are seeing it in. So I guess I can go more into it later, right now actually, with my next battle. Wow, I thought I meant to reveal this team earlier, but the battles I had with it at first weren't too good. So I guess I can just talk a little bit before this. Yeah, just, wow, blasted past my mind. I have a lot more teams now than I do then. These battles from a while ago. But I have a Manaphy, Dragonite, Heatran, my Venusaur is my Mega, so Mega Venusaur, Mian Xiao, and Rotom Wash. So at first, this isn't actually the end result of this team, but what I was thinking of is that I was trying to have a lot of high profile targets. So I have a Water, Grass, and Fire core of Mega Venusaur, either Manaphy or Rotom, if I, depending on who I'm facing. And then Heatran, and those are pretty good walls. And then I figured I could have a nice pivot lead, or switching at any, kind of check down a lot of Pokemon with Mian Xiao, but it actually, its speed leaves a little bit to be desired, but it does hold a good place in this team. And at this point I was running Dragonite because Dragonite's a very strong sweeper as long as it doesn't get statused, and if you can keep the rocks off the field. But I didn't actually carry any Defog user or Rapid Spinner on this team at the time. So Dragonite wasn't super important, but it did have extreme speed, which I thought was helpful. And it was able to be a very good physical sweeper if I needed it to be. I ended up switching it out later, you will see, but in this battle, I will show you a lot of reasons why. So we start off, I go into my lead, immediately Mian Xiao, seeing what he's going to do. He does a good prediction, goes right into his Gengar, which takes the fake out well, and he's faster, so I can't hit him with a U-turn. I expected something at that point, but he hit me with a Sludge Wave. I gotta slow this down a little bit, which did a lot more damage than I expected, and I lose my Mega Venusaur off the bat again, so Venusaur's not having a good couple battles here. I go to my Dragonite, just expecting him, seeing his team, he has no Fairy types. I can go for a free Dragon Claw. I didn't expect him to run Icy Wind though, so now I can get hit hard by a lot of things, and the Starmie is most definitely running Ice Beam. So I go to my Rotom Wash, and it does 14%, so I'm good. I don't think, this isn't even a specially defensive Rotom Wash, this is physically defensive, and it did that little. Plus Starmie is Life Orb, that's crazy, that's great. So I get a Will-O-Wisp here. If he went to his Charizard, things would have been a little bit different, but he went to his Latios, so I'm pretty happy with that. Even though Latios does wall out Rotom. I just wanted to see what he would do here. He misses a Draco Meteor, but Heatran is my only Pokemon to take it, so I will then get hit by the Draco Meteor. It does pop my Balloon, which is sad because I could have taken on Garchomp a lot better. But I get up free rocks because of it, which is needed for the Charizard on his team. He withdraws his Latios here and says, you know what, I have a Garchomp, I can take on your Heatran. And I made a mistake when I was running these first few battles. I put Fire Blast on Heatran by accident and wanted to put on Lava Plume for the better burn chance, and it doesn't miss. But either way, he gets a nice setup with his Garchomp here, and my Rotom Wash can take a Dragon Claw pretty nicely, but then he says, no, I'm going to go for a sub. And I missed the Hydro Pump. Most crucial part of this match when I was looking over. I can't believe I managed to claw my way back in this match. Spoilers, but I'll try not to do that in the future. I hit a Hydro Pump here, and luckily his sub goes down. But his Garchomp's still able to kill out my Rotom Wash. I have to sack it at this point. And Garchomp gets Rough Skin, usually its ability, if it's not running it in the sand. So I didn't want to send in my Mian Xiao here, and I did think my Manaphy could take it on, and luckily it does. This is not like boosted in any way. It just has naturally good bulk, and the Ice Beam does kill it. So I mean, my team's a little worn down now, but at least I took out a big threat there. And I go to my Heatran. I knew he was going to go for a Volt Switch. I have nothing to take it right now, so That was the best bet. Usually it'd be a Mega Venusaur or the Rotom, but those are both down. He goes into a Starmie. Now he has to Rapid Spin here in my mind, and he's not going to go for an Ice Beam. So I went into my Dragonite, which is pretty risky because he did go for the Ice Beam. That'd be dead. But I go for Extreme Speed, expecting it to take out the Starmie, which it does not. So sadly, I do lose my Dragonite here. However, Starmie's now at very low health, and it's a Life Orb using Starmie, so I can just get a free Fake Out and kill it. But he does a smart move. He switches out before he could, obviously Fake Out before he could recover. Does 22%. I'm pretty happy with that. But Raikou still, oddly enough, at this point, he goes for Calm Mind, and I just went for High Jump Kick. So, I mean, I don't know why he would do that, but he could have killed me with a lot of his moves, or maybe he was just too defensive. But then he switches in his Starmie, and I tried to send in my Heatran to take, just sack it, but he goes for Psychic, which is nice. So I'm surprised he's running Ice Beam and Psychic as his two moves. With most likely Recover in the last slot instead of because he has Rapid Spin. But yeah, so we get a double sack there, and at this point, it's a little dangerous. My Manaphy's very low health. But I was hoping my main Shao could take on these Pokemon, but it's slower than Latios, so I got to switch it out. And I sack my Manaphy here. And now it's 2-1 with a burned Latios and a very full health Charizard. So battle's not looking too good, but he keeps his Latios in to sack it, and I get a free Fake Out. And good thing about Mean Shao is it gets Regenerator as its ability, so I mean, I've been keeping him healthy all match, but seeing these two Pokemon here, especially a Mega Charizard X, which is, I do go for the knockoff, just because if it was a Mega Charizard Y, High Jump Kick wouldn't have done anything, but then it was over. It was a great battle. Ended up being a 1-0 loss in my favor. If I were to look back at this battle and see what I could do differently with my team, it would definitely be keeping my Manaphy healthy, as it could take on almost every one of his Pokemon minus Raikou, just due to the fact that Starmie was running Ice Beam and Psychic. But it was a good battle. MK5, well done. I never really considered Mega Charizard to be that good, but more and more as I'm facing them lately, I'm seeing how dangerous they are. But that's all the battles I have for today. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you sometime on Pokemon Showdown. And I will see you guys next time on Third Share.